What if you could control your destiny? If you decided what happened to you and you could create your own luck? Sounds too good to be true? And yet, the most successful people have all become masters at one simple habit that allows them to create their own luck and control their own destiny. And today, I'm going to teach you how to do the exact same thing. Welcome to Change Made Easy. Changing your habits, routines, and behaviors is hard. We make it easy. I'm Paul Levitin, a board-licensed behavior change coach who has been helping people just like you create positive change in their health, wealth, and relationships for well over a decade. William James, the father of modern psychology, said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes." In a universe that is built on randomness, there is very little that's inside of your direct control. From the weather to politics, the economy, traffic, even your day-to-day tasks, so much happens without your say. You want to be in control. It feels good, but it's also the most challenging thing to maintain. So how is it that some people succeed in being captains of their own life, successfully navigating through the choppy waters and storms of their day-to-day activities, while so many other people get thrown off course and spend their life lost at sea at the whim of Mother Nature pushing and pulling them all around? It turns out that it comes down to one key mindset shift, one that ancient Greek philosophers and Buddhist teachers have been writing about for centuries, and that has become popular again with the resurgence of modern psychology. Today, I'm going to explain how a simple mindset shift can change your luck for the better and give you 3 ways that you can implement it immediately. One of my favorite stories or parables, whatever you want to call it, is The Old Man and the Horse. It's a famous one, maybe you've heard it before, but even if you have, it's so good, it always bears repeating. There was an old farmer in ancient China, and one day his horse ran away. And all of the townspeople came by and commiserated with him, saying, "That's too bad your horse ran away. What poor luck." And the man replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, and it brought with it several other wild horses into the farmer's stables. And all the townsfolk returned. And they said, "You're so lucky. Now you have even more horses." And the farmer said, "Maybe." And the next day, the farmer's son took the horse for a ride. And while he was riding, he fell off and broke his leg. And the townspeople came again and they said, "You poor man, your son, he broke his leg. This is surely a tragedy." And the farmer said again, "Maybe." And the next day, war broke out in a neighboring town. And the ruler of their land sent all his generals to round up all of the able-bodied young men in town and get them to fight. But when they came for the farmer's son, they saw he had a broken leg and they passed over him. And again, the neighbors in town all agreed, "This is such good news. Your son will be spared. How lucky that he broke his leg." Maybe you can guess what the farmer said. Maybe. I love this story because it highlights the reality that events are not inherently good or bad. It is often your belief or feelings about the events that color your perception. Importantly, beyond that, it tends to be also with hindsight that you look back and make a retroactive judgment deciding on what was good or bad. Traffic is the worst. One of the banes of my existence, sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic, which, being a New York City native, I am no stranger to. And it would be easy to say that traffic is bad. I mean, no one gets excited about sitting in traffic. Well, Ron DeFrancisco was running late to work due to a traffic jam. When he finally got through traffic, parked, got out of his car, and walked into the lobby of his office building, he was almost an hour late. Ron worked in the South Tower of the World Trade Center on the 84th floor. This was September 11th, 2001. And just as he walked into the lobby of his building and waited for the elevator, a plane struck the building. Ron was one of the last people to escape the building before it collapsed. Had he not been stuck in traffic that day, had he made it to work on time, he surely would have died. So, I ask, was the traffic that day a bad thing? It saved his life. And now I know that's an extremely specific scenario, but the point is the broader truth is the same thing as the story of the farmer. You get to decide whether an outcome is good or bad. You decide whether it's favorable or unfavorable. There is no rule book for this stuff. Good, bad, right, wrong, it's all subjective. Pretty much everything is subjective in that way when you really think about it. And if something is subjective, that means you get to decide. Hey, real quick, we'll be back to the show in just a few seconds. But right now, I have to tell you about the free Change Made Easy private Facebook community. If you want to join hundreds of change seekers just like you and get free trainings, resources, and direct help from me in order to help make your quest for change easy, then click the link in the show notes that says Facebook group now. You'll be directed to my private Facebook group that I created just for clients and listeners of this podcast. And as a bonus, you'll get a free hour-long training on eliminating self-sabotage. All you have to do is click Facebook group in whatever podcast app you're listening on right now. Okay, let's get back to the show. The most successful people live in the same world, in the same universe as you. Whether it's a tech billionaire, a real estate tycoon, a jujitsu master, or just a single parent who's wrangling multiple kids in multiple jobs and making it look easy. Whatever your vision of quote-unquote success is, there's someone out there crushing it. And it's easy to chalk that up to dumb luck. They were born into money. They caught a lucky break. They've been given more opportunities. Which, sure, that's possible. But plenty of successful people have had it as hard or harder than you or I and still managed to make it. So how does that work? Well, there is one key skill around change that allows anyone, yourself included, to seamlessly flow through life unencumbered by luck or circumstance. And this is a skill known as reframing. To reframe means to intentionally change the way you view a situation, so you alter the way you think and feel about it. Obviously, this is nothing new. It's existed forever. Some people call it mindset. Some maybe the power of positive thinking. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." The Buddha literally taught, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. But the word reframe did not come to be popular until around the 1970s, when things like cognitive behavioral therapy and developmental behavioral therapy became popular. Because these new therapies began to teach reframing as a skill, something that you could learn and hone and build. The theory being that it is often not the situation, but rather your thoughts and feelings about the situation that make it negative. So if you can notice an irrational or potentially negative thought or belief, you can then reframe it into a more positive or constructive thought. And that allows you to dictate the outcome and have more control over what happens. Because obviously you can't control the actual thing that happened. But just like I've been talking about, what happened is usually much less of an issue than it is how you actually feel about it. Like the farmer and his son, like Ron DeFrancisco, who is upset to be stuck in traffic, but now that traffic jam is probably the thing that he'll be most thankful for the rest of his life. So there's lots of ways to reframe. Someone loses their job, a negative frame might be, this is the end of my career. A positive reframe might be, this is an opportunity to find a job that I'm more passionate about. Lots of therapies teach reframe as a skill. There's cognitive behavioral therapy, neuro-linguistics programming. The key thing to understand with reframing is that you have to be able to separate facts from feelings. Facts are what happened. You got fired. Feelings are what you put on it. They are judgments and anything else that is not a necessary fact. I got fired. This is bad. This is horrible. I'm so stupid. Whatever else. I got fired is the only fact in that. Everything else is simply a judgment. And when you can separate facts from feelings, you can look at the facts and then decide on better thoughts or feelings to go with it. That is how you start to control your own luck and destiny. Not by changing what happened, but by changing your feelings around it. Because remember, everything is subjective. Everyone thinks the guy who won the lottery is so lucky, except that it triggers his innate addictive personality, and with more money, he gets more booze, more gambling, more drugs, and his life is in shambles a few months later. So understanding that you decide what is luck, you decide what's good, is the first step. But now, to get a little more tangible, I'm going to give you 3 extremely powerful reframes that you can use in your path towards positive change and success. These are reframes that anyone who is successful in any area of life has implemented, either purposely or sometimes by accident without even knowing. So the first reframe is to reframe losing. The late, great Kobe Bryant was once asked, "What does losing feel like to you?" And his reply was, "It's exciting, because it means you have a different way to get better. There's certain weaknesses that were exposed that you need to shore up." This is Kobe, who many would say is the greatest basketball player of all time, who is super famous for his competitiveness, and yet he looked at losing as something exciting. A lot of people, I'm sure, look at losing like a bad thing because, well, they lost. Whether it's losing the game, losing the job, losing money, losing your partner, we're all built inherently to avoid and feel negatively about loss. Talked about loss aversion in the past. It's built into your DNA. So it's natural that when you feel like you've lost in some capacity, you feel bad. You feel less than. Feels like you've done something wrong, and that if you were somehow, quote unquote, better, you could have won. But all of this stems from the assumption that losing is bad. Again, who said so? Where's the rule book that you learned that from? You might say, of course losing is bad. That's the whole point. Winners win, losers lose. If losing were good, it would be winning. But again, as Kobe said, he was the definition of a winner. And what did he do? He turned losing into winning. Loss to him was not the end of the road. It was an opportunity for growth. It was a chance to learn. It was something that he could get excited about. So while someone else might lose and say, that's just bad luck, Kobe would say, wow, what good luck I get to learn from this and get better. So the second thing you need to learn to reframe is struggle. In my over 10 years as a coach, one thing I've seen people do far too often is to be put off by struggle. When things get hard, they take that to mean something is wrong, which then serves as justification for them to give up. The fallacy is that struggle is not something to be deterred by or that you should even avoid. Struggle is the main ingredient in a path to change or growth or success. Your muscles grow when you stress them. That's why you have to lift weights or run long distances to change your body. Your body does not just change through sheer force of will, just because it would be nice. It is the struggle of doing the task itself that sends the signal to your brain that it needs to commit some of its finite resources to build new muscle. Your brain is always looking to conserve energy, and building new muscle is energy expensive. So it will only do it if it absolutely has to. And how will it know that it needs to do that? Well, only when there is struggle. If there is no struggle, it means you are already equipped to handle the situation with your current capacities. Meaning, if you can run a mile without breaking a sweat, or lift a weight without panting even a little, that tells your brain, I'm good. I can already do this. I don't need to improve anything. It is the very feeling of, damn, this is hard. I don't know if I can do this. That sends the signal to your brain that it needs to start the cascade of effects that will make you stronger, faster, better, so that the next time you face a similar struggle, you will be better equipped to handle it. That means that struggle is not a reason to quit. It is not something to avoid. It might mean that your current capacities need to be upgraded, but again, you can reframe that into a good thing because it is literally making you better in real time. And it's not just for your muscles. The same goes for your brain, building neural pathways and making you stronger when you have a mental challenge. It's the same in business. The struggle you're facing makes you level up in some way, improving you not just in that current situation, but making you better for any other future challenges that you're going to face. The third reframe to help you become more successful might sound the strangest, but it is literally reframing what success means to you. I said that we can reframe loss to make it feel like winning, like an opportunity. So when it comes to success, the reframe is what you actually qualify as quote unquote success. Because one of the things that might be holding you back right now is viewing success through a very narrow lens. If you can expand the way you view success, you expand your opportunities. The modern day philosopher and author Kevin Kelly said, the surest way to be successful is to invent your own definition of success. Shoot your arrows first and then paint a bullseye where they land. Now you're the winner. And that's the key. Rather than working towards some predefined metric or definition of success that's been laid out for you, you get to choose what success is. A lot of my nutrition clients come to me with one goal: weight loss. So to them, success is very narrow. The scale goes down, good. The scale goes up, bad. And what I do as a coach is to help them understand the wider picture of what success actually is. Because when it comes to eating healthy and exercising, there are a lot of potential benefits. Better blood markers, improved energy, clothes fitting better, increased strength, better mobility, just making better food choices, longer life, feeling proud, better gut health. I mean, there's a ton more. That's just off the top of my head. So using Kevin Kelly's bullseye analogy, broadening what you consider success is like turning the whole board into a bullseye rather than just one tiny dot in the middle. And it's extremely important because, like I mentioned in the beginning, so much is outside of your control. Often, what you're looking at as success is one of those things. So weight loss is not directly within your control. Neither is your business succeeding, or your stock portfolio going up, or your friends being receptive of your ideas. So for my clients, if they look at success as only scale go down, this paints a very narrow runway for which they can be successful. This becomes even more important when you understand things like muscle versus fat. I recently had a client who was frustrated that the scale wasn't going down, but he noted that his belt was getting tighter and his workouts were improving and he was feeling stronger. And I explained what was probably happening was he was gaining muscle and losing fat, so the scale stayed the same because they kind of cancel each other out, but he was making progress. But if his only metric of success was what the scale says, he felt like he wasn't moving, he wasn't succeeding. But when we broadened his picture of what success was to include feeling better, losing fat, gaining muscle, improving his overall health, he could see that he actually was succeeding in a ton of other metrics aside from just the scale. That allowed him to refocus, remain motivated, and keep doing the work that was getting him the progress, rather than getting frustrated and giving up due to his quote-unquote lack of success. So your action step for this week is to implement one of these 3 reframes. Reframe loss or losing by looking at what can be gained from losing. Think about the benefits that come from not always getting what you want. Like Kobe did, ask yourself, what about this is exciting? You could reframe struggle. Remember that struggle is the only thing that creates growth. Without struggle, it means you are not doing anything that will make you better. And that is the true way to lose. Struggle is not something you need to avoid. It's something you should be thankful for, as it pushes you forward closer to your goal. And last, you can reframe success. Take a step back and zoom out. Realize that success has a lot of components, and a narrow view of success makes it that much less likely that you'll actually achieve it. When you use these powerful reframes, you take luck out of the equation and take destiny into your own hands. The truth is, your mind is the most powerful tool you have at your disposal. Ancient Stoics, Buddhist philosophers, and modern psychology all agree, controlling your mindset is the start to controlling your life. You can't decide what happens to you, but with the power and skill of reframing, you can choose how you let it affect you. And with that, you take back control. Now that is change made easy. Don't forget about the free Change Made Easy private Facebook community. Come join hundreds of change seekers just like you and receive free trainings, resources, and direct help from me that will help make your quest for change easy. Just go into the show notes of whatever app you're on right now and click the link that says Facebook group. You'll be directed to my private Facebook community that's just for clients and listeners of this podcast. And as a bonus, you'll get a free hour-long training on eliminating self-sabotage. All you have to do is click Facebook group in whatever app you're listening on right now.